Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone, or morning or evening, depending on where you are in the world. We're going to get started, do the usual disclaimers, and then I'm going to walk through and show you where you can find Max every other day except for Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then I will give Max the floor to answer questions. Do you have a trade to share today, Max?
I want to go over a couple of things. It's not my own trade, just two quick things. It won't take more than 5-7 minutes. Just to clear up one thing. I'm in the community Monday through Friday. Is that what you said?
Every trading day. I may have said
Yes.
every day, but every trading day. Good call
Got
out.
it.
All right, so we'll jump into disclaimers. The results here are provided for general information purposes as a convenience to the viewers. The materials are not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person, firm, or corporation. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell any security ever. This is not advice, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, and as I said, we'll just quickly walk through where you can find Max on Monday through Friday. So if you're not familiar, for those that are new with us, we do have a community, and you can find that right here in your TradeMachine every time you log in. And I know it can be a lot, but this is what keeps everybody nice and honest in the community and makes it such a great place. Is we have you agree to this code of conduct every time you sign in. So once you get in, if you have both subscriptions, you will default to CML Pro. If you only have TradeMachine, it's only going to show TradeMachine. I have both subscriptions, so I'm able to see both communities. And once you're in, you can see what everybody else is doing. We have we're sharing trades in there, how people are using Pattern Finder in conjunction with TradeMachine, which we do get a lot of questions about that. So there are a lot of resources here. We have a huge variety of people with different backgrounds, new to options trading, or like Max, years and years of experience with options trading. But one of the best things is that you can tag. So say you want to ask Max a question. He is Chat Uncle Pops in there. You just drop his name after an @ symbol, and you can say, hey, answer this question. And he's going to get a notification of your question. And as soon as he's back online, he can ask that. You can tag anybody in the community. It doesn't have to be one of us or Max. You can tag another user to ask them a question. We definitely do that a lot too. So those were the only things that I really had to go over. I think Max has a few things that he would like to do. Let me make sure he has co-host, and I will hand the floor over to Max, and I will be here in the background if you need anything.
Okay, thank you so much, Amanda. Okay, everybody see I'm on community as well. Everybody see that?
Yep, we see your community.
Okay, and there's my little picture with a nice red tie on. I had a little more hair when I took that picture. All right, so I just want to go over a couple of things very quickly. Community is great. There are a lot of users who contribute potential trades or post something from the Today tab with a question, and a lot of interactivity between the users. It's great. I encourage everyone to do that. All right. So today someone posted a trade on Marriott. Personal alert, interesting trade. It's got a custom option strategy. I'm going to click on the edit button, if you can see the bottom of my screen, and you'll see that it's the 1x3x2 monthly. It's labeled 37.25.10, but in actuality, the person modified it slightly. So it's long 137 delta put 30 days out, short 325 delta puts also 30 days out, and long 2 12 delta puts 30 days out. So the spreads that you're short, the two spreads that you're short, the 25.12 is slightly tighter than the 25.10, which is in the default 1/3/2. Okay, so I just wanted to highlight that. So we'll cancel out of that. And then the first thing that I do, I did this previously, but the first thing that I do is click on any of the years just to make sure that the end date is today's date, February 6th, and it is. So looking at this Marriott trade, you'll see the technical open conditions. Stock has to be above the SMA 50. The SMA 50 has to be above the SMA 200, and the EMA 10 has to be above the EMA 21. So all alerts on moving averages. It looks like if you looked at a picture of it, the shortest term will be above everything else, and it'll be like a line descending from top right to lower left. So I'm looking at this alert, and there's a lot of occurrences in 2 years, and I'm saying, I wonder how he handled the earnings, because I don't see anything checked off or highlighted, and it looks to me like it's nothing special. So if I click on the nothing special button and nothing happens, then I know that that's what they're using for this back test. And sure enough, when I click on nothing special, nothing changes. So I know with certainty that they did not select a custom earnings for this. So what we want to do is you never want to trade within 2 days of an earnings date. And if we just happen to notice on Marriott, the next earning date is February 13th before the market opens. And that's 7 days, including today, after today. So first thing I do is I click on the never trade earnings. Keep in mind, this was 59.2 with a percent return of 15.5. So I'm going to click on never trade earnings. It's going to redo the 2 years. And lo and behold, we now have a 91% win rate and 151% return. So things have gotten better. I checked the 1 year. Things are still beautiful. Check the 6 month. Very nice. 20-1, 264% total return. And you'll notice that this trade's only going to be open for 7 days. So just to satisfy my curiosity, I go in and I want to create a custom earnings trade, not just never trade earnings, which will close the trade 2 days before, but I want to create a custom earnings. So I click on custom earnings, and don't worry about that message because I didn't fix this yet. I want to open it 7 days before and close it 1 day before. And I don't care where the stock, where the trade move was. All right, so I'm going to hit that. And there's only one occurrence in the last 6 months. It's a winning occurrence, very small. Let's go back to 2 years. And the results change dramatically. It's a 50-50 bet, and the total percent return has turned negative. So now I'm not as enthusiastic about this trade as I was before when I just selected never trade earnings. So this is the kind of analysis that I do with the back tester and TradeMachine. I'm a little anal, so I like to think of anything that I possibly use against taking a trade. This latest result will prevent me from taking a normal size trade. If I take this trade at the end of the day, it will be, small, 1 to 5 lots that I will trade this. I'm leaning slightly against, but it was a good idea. It was very well presented in the community. I just happen to do this kind of stuff to find potential reasons not to take a good looking trade. Okay, so the other thing I just wanted to highlight, this is the Today tab. On the Today tab, today, we have the Walmart trade, all right? So I've clicked on it. First thing I do is I'll use 2 years again. I just want to make sure that the end date is today. As much as I say this, I still forget on occasion. It's got good results, and if you're a platinum member, you're seeing that it's already triggered, and you can look at the suggested options to be used by TradeMachine. All right, 2.5 points wide. It's a diagonal. The long call is going to be in the Feb 23 expiration. The short is going to be in the Feb 16. So it's as close, because this is a 14-day pre-earnings diagonal, it's as close to 14 days for the long and 7 days for the short as possible. All right, so community immediately raised an issue with two issues with this trade, potential trade, and asked for feedback. You'll see that curtosis and skew, both for the 1 year and the 6 month, are negative. Now, I don't know all the details of skew and curtosis, but that's a potential warning signal. So what I do, not as a back test for general alerts, but just to test the current skew and curtosis current conditions for a potential trade, is I will go down to the technical open. Right now, it's only stock above SMA 50, and I will add kurtosis 1 year, and all I care about is it's below zero. And then I'm going to go and look at skew. It's still called return asymmetry, but that's the skewness variable. And I'm also going to set that to below zero, since the current conditions are both below zero or negative. And I'm going to save that, and it's going to redo the 2-year back test. All right, we still have good results. I'm still taking this trade. I want to highlight one other thing before the last thing I want to mention, and that's this one loss. I see a one loss for $1. Why? As we talked about the last time Jason was with us, and we may have mentioned it last Thursday as well, I'm going to click on this tile just to look at the detailed back tests. And I'm betting that it's today's trade that is showing $1 loss because of commissions. So I'll go to the last page, and sure enough, 6 Feb 24, this is today's trade. So I still don't know if this is a feature of the upgrade to TradeMachine or something that they're going to fix before it's released to everybody. But this is today's trade, and you'll see that in the P&L column, it's showing $1 loss, which is, there may be a slight adjustment on the actual values of the options, and when you factor in commissions, it's showing $1 loss. I disregard that as a loss. It's not a loss as far as I'm concerned. So this 3-1, in my mind, is 3-0, and the percent wins is 100. So it's still a good trade. Then, all right, so that's what I did. And then the other concern was Walmart. I'm not going to pull up a graph. You'll just have to trust me. Walmart is near or making 52-week highs. Some people are skittish about taking a trade. Some people are skittish about taking a trade when it's near the 52-week high, and we expect it over the next 7 days to go higher. I can see in the chat, someone's asked a question about the kurtosis settings. The current kurtosis settings is right across the top. These are the values as of today. Skew 1 year minus 3.4, kurtosis 1 year minus 31, skew 6 months minus 4.2, kurtosis 6 month minus 26. So they're all negative. That was the concern, and that's why I tested for it. Just testing for current conditions. It's not a general back test. It hasn't gone through that scrutiny. Ophir and the team are developing additional alerts and back tests using skew 1 year, curtosis 1 year, and the 6 months as well. I'm just looking at the current condition for a specific stock to see how it affects the backtest results. All right, so the other concern was it's near the 52-week high. Okay, so just looking at the last backtest that I just set up, we have stock above the SMA 50, kurtosis below zero for 1 year, the 1 year backtest, 1 year asymmetry below zero, and that's kurtosis value as of the last year. And then all I did was say in the last 10 days, the stock moved up 2% or more, just to see how it affects. And it does take the number of wins down. Keep in mind, it's 1 and 0, still has a 24.6% return. I will put at least one quantity Walmart diagonal trade on before the end of the day. This concerns me a little bit. There's only one other occurrence, but I still want to take the Walmart 14-day diagonal special trade. All right, I like to go 3 months. All right, so you can see it has risen nicely. I look at 9 months, looking for a P&L zone and any lines. All right, so this is a 9-month chart. You can see the move that it's made. And if you look at the bottom within Pattern Finder, you can see the pivot points that I think will include the 52-week high, if I can move my face out of the way. And 52-week high is 170.58, and it's trading 169.66. So it is near the 52-week high, which was the reason for the concern in the community. It does take away the number of occurrences in the last 3, 2, and 1 year. Still gave a positive result. I'm still positive on the trade, but I'm going to take it in small size. All right. That concludes my presentation. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Are you ready to roll on some of these questions?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. You're reading them. Thank you so much.
All right. So we've got some hellos and everything. We'll jump into the first question. Holding a long call ITM and company is reporting earnings today. Any preference to close before report this afternoon?
Okay. And Amanda, you can comment on this. I'm sure you've had this similar situation, either stock or an in-the-money call. Unless it's a long-term hold, I'm closing this position. I don't want to I'm assuming I've made money on this long call in the money. I don't want to take my profits through a 50-50 bet. In this case, the earnings event. Now, you may want to. That's certainly something you can do. Just keep in mind, the earnings is a 50-50 bet. And supposedly nobody knows what the details of the earnings event are. Now, you could also minimize your investment that you're going to carry through earnings by selling an at-the-money call against your long call in the money, or an out-of-the-money call if you want to give yourself some extra room, if you think it might go up to a certain level. And if it goes against you, you've taken in that short premium from the at-the-money or the out-of-the-money call to go against what you're going to lose in the in-the-money call going down. But it really is your decision. Do you really want to trade the earnings event?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Max, would be that there's very few scenarios that are in the pre-built strategies where we are not intentional in TradeMachine with our earnings handling. So we don't go blindly into earnings. Generally speaking, we're closing most of the strategies 2 days before earnings and not reopening in them until 2 days after earnings. So there's like a 5-day window there that you're not holding the position to minimize risk. And you can back test both ways and see, it could be that the company that you're holding has the potential that it doesn't fluctuate a lot through earnings and it's going to minimize your risk. But the only way to be sure is to back test it.
Yep. you can do that. And I'd say most of the time it is 2 days, but there are trades like the 14-day, like 14-day long call is 1 day. There are a couple of exceptions, but it's either 2 days and once in a while it's 1 day before.
That's
Okay,
correct. Yep.
next.
All right. We got a good work. So I don't remember what part that was on, but good work, Max.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you participated in that, so you get some of the credit.
Can you please show the curtosis settings on Walmart trade one more time? Thanks.
Okay, I did that.
Okay. Would you take the Walmart diagonal if the entry price is more than the width of the second strike?
Of the two strikes. Yeah.
Two strikes.
This is my personal preference. I happen to know that it's Ophir's as well, since I learned this from him. If the width of the spread is less than the debit that you're paying for this diagonal, I will move one of the calls to widen that width and make it greater than the debit that I'm paying. That's what I do. So if it's a $2.50 width for Walmart, which I believe it was, and you have to pay $2.89, I'm looking to move that 50 delta one more strike in the money for the long call, and or the 30 delta short call. I may go down to 25 or the next strike as the short, just to widen the width and make sure that it's more than the debit that I'm paying. Just gives me, in my mind, a little more flexibility if we wake up tomorrow or 2 days from today and Walmart, in this case, has jumped up to the short strike or past the short strike. Then you very quickly will get into trouble because of the fact that you're short gamma because of that short call. So that's my personal preference. You don't have to worry about this, but that's the way I trade it, the diagonals.
All right. Question on how to manage a put spread, specifically when you sell a put spread. If the stock increased within the first couple days, what are some actions that could be taken outside of closing the trade or just waiting?
Okay, I'm short a put spread. I'm looking at the premium in my short side of that. As that gets more and more minimal, I'm potentially buying it back, if not closing the trade. Now, what you could do if you want to increase your premium and you don't want to just get out of the trade or buy back your shorts as they have just minimal premium and minimal further profit to gain, you can roll the short put spread up. So, for example, if you were short the 40 delta put and long the 30 delta put, which is your fade the dip trade in default, and now your 40 delta short is because the stock has moved up, is now a 25 delta put, and the long, which was 30 delta, is now 15. I'm just making assumptions. You can roll the whole thing up, buy that back, and sell the current 40 delta put and buy the current 30 delta put. So you're gonna make money on closing your winning trade, and you're gonna get additional credit by selling a new 40-30 delta put spread. Only if there's still significant time left for the trade. Otherwise, when there's minimal further premium to be gained, I'm closing the trade and looking for better opportunities to use my buying power.
Right. Next question, how to check profit and loss zones for 3 months or less. So,
okay, that's in Pattern Finder.
Yep. So with Pattern Finder, anything under 9 months does not have profit or loss zones because of the way that it is algorithmically determined. The data is just not significant enough that we can accurately determine the 3 months or less on those. The team has looked into ways to kind of improve that and see if we can get a good quality result, but thus far that's why it's left out, because it just doesn't return high quality results, and that's all we're going to put in front of you guys is the highest quality. Anything to add, Max?
No, no, you have knowledge more advanced than I do. As far as pattern finder goes, I'm a very basic user. I am not a chartist. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Right. The Walmart strike difference is $2.50 wide. The cost looks about $3, which is above my 75% difference in premium to put this trade on.
Yeah, so for this person, I would say before you give up on the trade, move the long one strike in the money more than the at the money, the 50 delta. So it'll have a 53, 55 delta. Um, that'll gain you $2.50. And also look at moving the short strike, one strike further out of the money. As long as the short strike still has some premium. I don't like to be selling a short strike if it's a lot lower than $1. So if it's 20 cents or 30 cents, I'm not going to be interested in selling that. And if that puts a kibosh on the trade, then I might want to keep, if the Walmart was also in the 14-day pre-earning long call, I might want to do that. Or I might want to make it a long call spread, because I always like spreads or diagonals than just being long calls. But you're right. I would be looking for alternatives as well. If the debit is going to cost me $3 and it's only a 250 wide on the difference in strikes.
Right. The next question is, where do we find Pattern Finder? They did put the link in there, or somebody else contributed the link, but it's patternfinder.cmlviz.com. And if you are a TradeMachine member, you do get an additional discount on Pattern Finder. So if you are looking to add Pattern Finder and you don't currently have it, email support@cmlviz.com and we will make sure you have a coupon code before you sign up so that you get that discount.
Amanda, it used to be like if you had TradeMachine, you could get Pattern Finder for, what was it, $11 or something? Is it still
It's
that?
Yep, absolutely. So Pattern Finder, if you have an active TradeMachine, is $11 per month. So
It's it's an incredible bargain for $11 a month. It's my personal recommendation. I'm not acting on behalf of CML. I'm telling you, I'm not a chartist, and it's worth $11 a month to me for sure.
Pattern Finder has an incredibly powerful screener if you use nothing else to filter down your results in TradeMachine. But we can definitely send you more information if that's something that you want to look at. So just email us. Right. Next is many pre-earnings call trades seem to have IV over 50%. How does this affect your comfort with taking the trade?
Okay, it does not affect my comfort for the following reason. One, I'm okay. He's saying pre-earnings call trades, so maybe he's just doing the long call. But even if it's just the long call, well, let me back up for a second. If it's diagonal, you're trading a long option against a short option. It's minimizing the impact of volatility. But what's also minimizing the impact of volatility and theta decay is the earnings event. You'll notice that the theta decay will be minimal until the actual earnings event. So I'm not as concerned with the fact that the IV may be over 50% or IV rank or IV percentile is relatively high, because theta decay is going to be minimized because the volatility is going to keep going up as you get closer and closer to the earnings event. And you're either just long a call, you're long a call spread, or you're long a call diagonal. You're not going to be hurt by that significantly, if at all. You will be hurt if it goes down, if the stock goes down significantly, then you're going to lose on that long in any case.
All right. I did not understand why the Marriott 1 by 3 by 2 trade is not a good one. Can you please explain one more time? It looked like it was winning a lot, 50 wins, 0 losses, irrespective of earnings.
Okay, good that I didn't delete it. All right, that's Walmart. You want Marriott. All right, because what I did was, you are correct. In the initial trade, it was 50 wins, 0 losses. But that was that was before I checked the never trade earnings. And when I did that, I don't know if I saved that one. No, I didn't. Okay, I can recreate it very quickly. If I just say for earnings handling, nothing special, we'll redo the back test very quickly, and it's 59 and 2, close enough to the 50 wins, 0 losses.
Would
Going back,
actually be 59 and 1 because it looks like it
that's
is
right.
triggered right now. So
That's right. So the last loss for $1 or $2 or 50 cents is because it immediately entered the trade into the back test. And since it only works with end of day pricing, it's going to put it in as a small loss until tomorrow. Because it only takes the values at the end of the day. Okay, so 59 and 2, great. But we're not accounting for the earnings event, which is on, if you look up here, which is on February 13th, which is 7 days away, including today. So the first thing I did, so that was 59 and 2. The first thing I did was say, let's click on the box that's never trade earnings. And now you look at the results, and there are actually more occurrences in the last 2 years, and it has even better results. So this is even looking better. A couple of more losses, but still overall a very good trade. But then I said, you know what? 7 days, I'm going to do one more back test, which is I'm going to back test a customs earning where I'm going to open a position 7 days before earnings, and I'm going to close it 1 day before earnings. I want to see just those occurrences and how well the back test does if I open 7 days before and close 1 day before. All right. And now you'll see that it was 4 and 4, now it's 3 and 5. Let's assume that 3 and 5 is correct. I think I have the days right. Yeah, 2-year days right. Okay. So it's a negative return. And even if we discount one of these losses, it's going to be 3 and 4, or the last time I did this, it was 4 and 4, so 4 and 3. It's not as positive a trade. So my thinking, my analysis is, if I take this trade, it is 7 days before the earnings event. I'm going to trade it very small because it does not have, in my mind, a back test with all these kind of occurrences and the great results. 91% win rate, percent return, 151%. So that's why I was holding, or am holding back about taking this trade.
great. Thanks for
Okay.
going back over that. Any chance RSI will be added to Pattern Finder Screener in the near future? Email support will put it on the feature request list. I cannot say yes or no, but we will certainly share it with the team.
Okay.
And then it looks like that was the last in chat. Let me move over. There's one in Q&A.
Okay. Beautiful.
I've seen TradeMachine say the stock is over the 200-day moving average, when in fact it is incorrect. This is an algo. How does that happen? Not even close to being a one-off.
Well, there's a couple of things. Amanda, you want to answer this? Because I know you know the answer to this.
So first of all, one thing to consider is that we use adjusted close pricing for all moving average calculations, which may result in a difference between us and other providers. There is a pretty lengthy answer as to why we use that, but basically it takes into account dividends and everything else that is going to ultimately impact your final positive or negative results. So it is the most in-depth way that we can track that. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that I see answering support questions, is why people are feeling like it's incorrect. It's just that difference in
Right.
the adjusted close versus whatever everybody else is using. Some people opt to not to not include dividends, or they kind of cherry pick what they include and what they don't include in their adjusted.
Right. So I would add to that a couple of things. One, only use the values that are TM generated. You can find them in several places. I have an open tab for CML Viz, and I can look at pivot points anytime I want for anything I want. Just happen to have this set up for IWM and it's telling me the TM 200-day SMA, the 50, the 21, the 10, the 8. Here's the current price, here's the low, and here's the high. You can also check off additional moving averages that you may want to see, and immediately they'll be on your little chart to the right. This pivot point chart is also in Pattern Finder, and it's also on the ProScan tab of
Create tab.
TradeMachine,
Create tab.
right? It's on
The
the what?
Create tab.
Oh, it's on the Create tab. I thought it was on the, okay, it's on the Create tab. My apologies.
No worries.
And the other point is, it could be a valid alert at 11 o'clock in the morning because it's above or below the SMA 200, the TM SMA 200. But by 11:30, it's reversed. Send your specific example to support, and they'll go through it and see if it's a bug or if it's something else.
Exactly. Yep. Anytime you have something that you have a question about that's very specific like this, just email support@cmlviz.com with the backtest link, which Max, can you show, since you have the screen, where to get the backtest link?
Absolutely.
Just copy and paste that backtest link into your email and say, this is what I'm seeing. Can you help me find the answer? We'll
So
take
it's
a
right
look at
here.
it.
I apologize, Amanda, for interrupting you, because it disappears. It's the last symbol on the right here, and you click this icon, and it'll copy the backtest link into your, what do they call that?
Like the clipboard, like the
Yeah,
clipboard.
the clipboard. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also ask in community, and if I have time, I'll take a look at the backtest and see if I can come up with some explanation. But if I can't, and or we're busy talking about current trades, then I might ask you to just reach out to support.
Yeah. And that is also how you can share backtests that you come up with in community, is by using that link and just pasting your link right in the community. That's how Max or I or anybody else shares their backtest. So in case you didn't know that, that is another available feature. While we were talking, Max, we did have a few more questions come in. So let's go back to the chat section. And looks like we were at, what is the adjusted close? I think we answered that, but if you have additional questions about that or how we factor it in TradeMachine, just email support@cmlviz.com.
Yeah,
and I can
you
give
may,
you all the details.
you may also want to just click from the Today tab or from any individual back test. You can click on the Learn tab, and it'll open up a new tab for you, and then you can search for TM adjusted. I type very slowly also. Averages.
It's right there for you, Max.
Okay, there you go. I don't even have to finish. And you click on adjusted closing pricing and how it is used in TradeMachine. And it'll give you a concise article on how to do that.
Yes, and it does include the details as to how to look at exactly the numbers that we're looking at during intraday. So if you need to check a trade before the end of the day, how we would do that on our end.
Okay, next.
When I see something that's off, should I email or say something in chat? Email support for sure. You can also ask Matt in the community in chat and see what he has to say. But always, if you have any questions, we're here to help. So please just reach out to support if you have questions. All right. What does it mean when it says 40% or 50% limit in a spread? And is that the stop, or when it reaches that percent of profit, then sell it?
Okay, so limit is your profit limit. Stop is your loss limit. In general, it's if it's a debit spread that you are trading, and the profit is 40%, it's 40% of the debit that you paid, and 50% of the limit, 50% of 50% stop, excuse me, is of the debit that you paid. If it's a credit spread, it's 40% of the credit that you received for profit, or 50%, 50% of the credit you received is your stop limit to get out. I think I said that correctly eventually.
I think so. If you still have questions about that one, email support, and if we don't answer it, I will have Max answer it for you.
Okay, no problem.
Can the pivot point be placed on the candlestick chart? I'm not sure if you mean, like, can you move it over? And if so, no. If you're requesting a feature, email support.
Beautiful.
A lot of time the markets move before or after the open. You are using end of day data. How does that change the actual returns versus the back tested returns?
Okay, so first of all, it does use the trade machine. The back tester uses near end of day data. If you want a specific time, it's around 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. I confirmed that with Jason on previous Zooms. So yeah, after the first, you won't see any alerts for at least an hour after the market opens. So hopefully the market settles in. But after that time, like we were talking about before, at 11 o'clock, all the technical open conditions for a specific alert may be met, or it may be on the, and it may end up on the Today tab as well. So at 11 o'clock, they were all valid, and it's a valid alert. But by 12:30, one of the technical conditions, one or more, are no longer meeting the requirements, then that alert is no longer valid. At the end of the day, or near the end of the day, I start reconfirming the technical open conditions probably by 3:30. So for me, by 3:30 and later, if those technical open conditions are holding, I'm considering it a valid trade. Now, very soon, and Platinum members already have this, you will see TradeMachine backtest will provide, like it did for this one for Walmart, this 14-day TM diagonal trade is still valid as of 2:15 p.m. It's now 2:53 Eastern time, so I'm just going to click on a test length and let's see if it's still valid. All right. As of 2:53, all these conditions are still being met. This is skew and curtosis is not going to change. They don't change intraday, but the stock can move above and below the SMA 50, and that would change whether this is triggered or not. So I think eventually every trade machine member is going to get this part. Is an alert triggering or not? Only Platinum members, at least initially, and Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, will get the suggested options and expirations that you should trade. Is that correct, Amanda?
That is correct. Yes. Everyone relatively soon will be getting the triggered option. We are still testing. The options comes at a pretty significant cost to us. So we're trying to test to see what that's going to look like on a larger scale. And to add, these are going to be the options that TradeMachine is selecting, which kind of goes into everything else. TradeMachine is utilizing 3:45 as the time for the backtest to be completed. That doesn't mean that you necessarily have to follow that. If you're following to be as close to the backtest as possible, yes, you want to use end of day purchasing, and then the options that TradeMachine is using. But I can almost guarantee you that Max doesn't always do that. I know Ophir and Jason don't always do that.
Right, absolutely
So
right. And I'd
to
also add, if you're only available from 2 to 2:30 or 11:30 to 12, then and you want to trade, then that's when you make your decision.
yeah,
Amanda, there's one more question. We're almost out of time. There's one more question I want to answer in chat. You want to read it? You see it?
Uh,
250 came in at 253.
yep. If there is no gains above or losses above information, when is it ideal to close the trade? 1 day before close or personal loss acceptance capacity?
Okay, so if there is no specific limit condition or loss condition, then it's up to you. You can wait till the end of the trade or the last day of the trade or 1 day before the last day of the trade, as the back tester does. Back tester goes until the last day. Um, but personal preference, absolutely, it's what you are comfortable with. Regardless of what the technical close conditions are, specifically mentioned or not, if I've sold something, if I'm short an option or an option spread, and I've made most of that premium. Let's say I've made 90% of the credit that I sold initially. I'm closing that trade. I'm not risking losing the 90% that I've made. Um, Now for loss limits, I take a hard look when I'm down 50%. That's me. That's my personal preference. Sometimes I let it run. Sometimes I take some off at 50% and leave a couple on just in case the market reverses and I minimize or go back into the black and have a gain. That's what I do, but it is your personal tolerance and risk appetite.
Max, I think that's actually a really great place to close, is just to kind of reiterate that TradeMachine is here as a tool for you to educate yourself and to adapt to your personal trading preferences. So make it work for you, ultimately, is what I'm saying. It's going to be a huge guide to tell you how it's performed in the past, and you can adapt it to your personal trading preferences. I know for a fact Ophir does, Jason does, I'm guessing Max does. You make it work for you. And if you have a stronger risk aversion, then you adapt it to reflect your comfort level.
Right. So that's a beautiful way to wrap this up. I thank everybody again for coming. Please come to community, ask questions, volunteer information, make comments, but nice comments only. And then one other thing I'm going to share with you is after this is over during the last hour, I'm going to be looking, besides the Walmart pre-earnings trade, I'm going to be looking at these AI enhanced trades and fade the dip to see if any of them are liquid enough. And by liquid, I mean the bid-ask spreads for the options are relatively tight to take some of them. I personally like to take as many of the AI-based trades or enhanced trades as possible because I believe there's stronger tests, stronger back tests. So that's it for today. See you in community or see you Thursday night.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for coming, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.